I just want this on the record because it was funny, but also not funny how it was manipulated. So I had a very long conversation with someone who, prior to the conversation turning, was telling me how much they looked up to me and how much they were inspired by me and they loved my work and they couldn't wait to be mentored by me. And then something came out. It was, I can't exactly remember what the turning point was, but it was something to do with, it was a bit of an SJW thing. And I was like, well, no, sorry, I disagree. And then as soon as I disagreed, it was like, oh, you're mortal enemy number one. Oh, it was about pronouns in bios.
Oh, yeah.
It was about pronouns. And she said to me, you haven't put your pronouns in yet. And I was like, no, and I don't intend to. No. That was the turning point. And very offensive. Very, very offensive. And so the conversation turned. So literally prior to that point, sending me praise, telling me all these wonderful, glorious things. And all of a sudden I disagreed. And then the conversation very quickly descended into chaos around the lockdown. And I said to her, look, we're clearly not going anywhere. You're allowed to have your opinion. I'll have mine. I hope you have a great night. And she wasn't happy with that. And anyway.
You're not allowed to have your opinion. Who do you think you are?
Not if you disagree. Not if you disagree. It's all about inclusivity until you disagree, and then you're a Nazi. Yeah. Yeah. So so basically what happened was at the end of it, she's like giving me this long-winded speech and then writes, by the way, I have a science degree. And I was just being a sassy little mole. Yeah. And I wrote back, and I have a psychology degree. Like, I was being facetious. Yeah. I was joking. And since we're on that, I don't know whether, they're over here. I actually am enrolled in a bachelor degree of psychological science. And I ended up deferring it because it is so left-leaning that I couldn't stomach it. I was like, I only have to do 18 more months to get my degree. But I was like, I don't know if I've got the brain capacity.
Yeah, if I can survive that. Yeah.
So it's not, and so basically that set the tone that I was this pathological liar because apparently we can't have senses of humor these days. Yeah. Yeah. And then they'd found another screenshot here and another screenshot there. So now I'm like this terrible person, and everyone's coming onto my page and telling me how much of a piece of shit I am, how I should kill myself. And, I don't know if you guys have ever had an onslaught of feminists, but I think they're particularly vicious when they're attacking women. Like, I've never seen a feminist be kind to a woman they disagree with. Yeah. And so, as fate would have it, an ex-business partner also decides to step into the ring, an ex-business partner who takes funding from the Labor Party, you could say. And this ex-business partner, who had a substantial portion of my business at a time, has decided to leak private documents and declare that they were public, and painted a picture that I was this terrible Alan Bond, Christopher Skase person. And,
good. So you've got hundreds of millions of dollars then. I'm so relieved. Could you just slip me some? I'll send you my bank details.
I've got a G6 in my backyard.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
And I've been flying between here and Mallorca every day,
Yeah, nice. I knew there was something shady about you.
100%. So I just read a comment. I wouldn't be proud of a uni degree. I don't know. I'm pretty proud of mine. Thanks. I've already got one. Yeah. But, whatever.
Let people be happy.
do whatever you want. Like, anyway, I'm getting off track. So this video that this particular individual put up then naturally got eyes of other said individual who has a substantial following. And if you're wondering why I'm being very careful with my words, there is currently legal proceedings around this. So, I'm not going to say anything that could jeopardize any of those positions. So, and naturally, the media was like, brilliant. And I think people underestimate how much of a hold our current government has on the media down here. Like, it's significant. And it's no shock to me that a video that I put up very clearly articulating the incompetence of our government that's getting 40 million views and being shown on key news outlets in the US and Canada and Europe. That was amazing. What? All of a sudden they were like, this is too much. This girl's got to go. We're going to take her down. And so they did. And even though there were elements of truth in the story, it was very cleverly key moments of context were removed to then paint me as some kind of business monster. And then, of course, because everything comes in threes, which is wonderful, a person I don't know started a GoFundMe. And if you want to add petrol into the fire, have a GoFundMe. It's brilliant. And this GoFundMe within 12 hours got to 60,000. And I begged the person who set it up to turn it off. I begged, and they didn't. Eventually they did. But I knew as soon as there was money involved, I was like, oh, dear Lord. And the wonderful thing about this is I have all the screenshots. I have all the comment threads. I have all the paperwork, but that doesn't matter. So when the media came for me, I sat there with like piles and piles of stuff. And I won't go too much into it, but reporter number one took the stuff that I gave them, put it aside, and never looked at it. They already had their narrative. They just wanted the footage to go with the story. And the narrative was, woman is going viral. She's a con artist. She can't be trusted. The video loses credibility. Boom. That's what they wanted.
Now, can I pause for a moment here? Because I want people to, there's a reason why I invited you on, and there's a reason why I think that what we're talking about now is valuable to everyone listening. This isn't just, oh, here's an interesting story. I mean, yes, it is an interesting story. I want to drive this point home. This could literally happen to anyone. Because what Carly did was sit down and make a video and pour her heart out in a way that resonated with people. Carly did not make that video go viral. The person who creates a video does not make it go viral. It's the audience that looks at it and says, I want to pass this on. The audience makes it go viral. The public made Carly's video go viral, and everything else flowed straight out of that. So number one, this can happen literally to anybody. Number two, understand that the media are, even when they paint it, how do I put this? The media only ever set you up as a good guy in order to later on tear you down as the bad guy. Right? That's it. Once they've already done the piece about, oh, this poor woman or this wonderful person or what have you, the only place to go from there is down. And sooner or later, one of these gutter journalists is going to come crawling around looking for a nice story. And they don't read anything. They don't research anything. Understand, these journalists, particularly if we're talking about, these sort of nightly current affair things, they've got to churn out a story a day. They don't have time. And I've actually spoken to one before who admitted to me that partway through producing some stories, they realized they were wrong about that story, but they had to go through with it anyway because they had a deadline and they didn't have another story to run. So sometimes they actually run stories that even they know are bullshit because of the pressure that's on them and the deadlines and just trying to pay bills and everything. It's not right, but it's how it is.